Hello, friends, and welcome to Noble Literature Classes. With this final lecture on British Romanticism, we are going to talk about Percy Bysshe Shelley and his defense of poetry. Now, P.B. Shelley, he promoted non-violence, atheism, and vegetarianism. Talking about atheism, he got expelled from Oxford University in 1811 only when he wrote this anonymous pamphlet called The Necessity of Atheism. Now, his philosophies on non-violence they influenced so many people. For example, Karl Marx, then Leo Tolstoy, whose writings on Shelley they influenced Mahatma Gandhi in turn. And Mahatma Gandhi he again inspired Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, and so many things kept happening. That is how we can relate his non-violence theories. And he eloped twice, and the second wife was Mary Shelley, the famous author of Frankenstein novel. Now, in this work of defense of poetry, Shelley combines all the theories of these romantics which were there, like Keats, Wordsworth, Coleridge. Let us have a look at few of his important works which he published during his life. Let's talk about John Keats' negative capability. Now, John Keats disagrees with Coleridge and Wordsworth regarding their power of imagination and all that. Like, he wanted them that it's okay that you can use your imagination, but don't just remain in your imagination. Try to be in reality also. Try to feel the world, try to feel what others are feeling. So, defining negative capability, Keats says that writers who possess negative capability, they are capable to remain in uncertainties, in mysteries, and in doubts without struggling to find a reasonable explanation. Like they have this power to stop judging people or stop judging things in their life and accept them just like they are. He calls this thing as receiving passively. Now he gives this example of Shakespeare. He says that Shakespeare felt equal passion and pleasure while creating his greatest villains like Iago, just like he feels the same pleasure in creating his greatest and most virtuous characters like his heroine Imogen. Now Keats said that Coleridge did have this ability to see the world from others' perspective, unlike Wordsworth. But still Coleridge did not have this negative capability because he could not remain content with the mysteries of those knowledge, the half knowledge that he had. He always had to solve those mysteries and resolve those paradoxes in their lives, just like we talked about the transcendental philosopher in the previous lecture. Now, if you compare men and women, women have this negative capability more as compared to men. And if you see Keats here, he kind of gave the postmodernist idea of getting out of your head and getting real and getting logical in your life. So we can say he is the first postmodernist, but still that would be an exaggeration because still at the heart he was what we call the romantic poets. Now, talking about Shelley's defense, he gathers all his romantic theories from several different people. Like he agrees with all the romantics that imagination must be preferred over reason, that is, synthesis must prevail over analysis. For Shelley, reason and imagination they are like shadow and substance. For example, a shadow cannot exist if there is nothing, there is no substance. Similarly, reason cannot exist without imagination. That is the degree to which he takes imagination. Now he says that poetry, therefore, it is the most real and it is the closest to infinite. And whereas science, if you talk about, or reason, it is just a temporary thing and it keeps changing. Even if you look at it, humanity, it can be scientific, but science, it can never be humanistic because we cannot work or we cannot discover anything new with old concepts or old mindset. We always have to move ahead of our old thing. Therefore, he says that science keeps changing, it is just temporary, and poetry, on the other hand, it is eternal or it is real. And this is his famous line. He says that poetry redeems from decay the visitations of divinity in man. Now, let's talk about his views of the romantics and the way they receive that inspiration passively, which he talked about. Now, he says that a true poet, he is like an aeolian harp. It's a small stringed instrument which produces natural music whenever the wind blows over its strings. So, just in the same way, inspiration blows over the poet, causing him to create. मतलब वो खुद से नहीं लिखता है. Whenever the inspiration blows, only then he's creating it. And he agrees कि he does have this power to modulate that wind a bit. मतलब वो थोड़ा सा तो कंट्रोल कर सकता है कि अपने आप को किस मूड में रखे जब वो इंस्पिरेशन आए, बट स्टिल ही कैन नॉट कंट्रोल दैट विंड ऑफ इंस्पिरेशन. So Coleridge believes that every poet is just like this fading coal which burns out while it is burning. Now he muses a bit and he says that only if we could control or hold on to that burning fire, we would be like gods. But definitely that is not the case, because this inspiration, it comes and goes very quickly, and its arrival and departure, it is as mysterious as the inspiration itself. But until this inspiration is gone, the poet remains the poet prophet. Like he can predict the future, and he can also like predict the end of humanity. Now he gets like this apocalyptic power, the power to uncover reality from the veils of mystery and familiarity. मतलब एक पोएट को समझ आता है कि उसकी सोसाइटी किस दिशा में जा रही है, एंड what all the bad things will lead to its destruction. Now he believes that each poet, although he is writing in a single room, he is away from everybody, like whenever he is creating, although he is sitting alone and away from the city life, but still he is not alone, because whatever he is writing is a part of the eternal poem which has continuously been written ever since the life started. For example, if you see the classical theories, then came the neoclassicals, all that, we are just contributing a stanza to the eternal poem. That is what Shelley believes. Now Shelley says that just like each poet prophet, he is linked to his greater poem, this eternal poem. Similarly, all the poets of a given age, they are also linked to a single spirit of that age, and he calls this spirit Zeitgeist. Zeitgeist is a German word, and it means the spirit of the age. For example, if you talk about the classicals, they had their own spirit, their own Zeitgeist. Then the Renaissance happened, Elizabethan England. There also people had this, they don't know how this inspiration came, but everybody was writing great works. Similarly, this romantic age happened. Nobody thought कि फ्रांस में revolution आएगा, या जर्मन की theories लेके कोलरिज एक he will start this ideology, but it happened at its own. So the Zeitgeist is very natural, and Shelley saw himself and his fellow poets as the mouthpieces or the trumpets of this spirit. Now let's talk more about this defense. Well, this work was actually written as a reply to his own friend. Actually, he was his friend and contemporary, John Love Peacock. He wrote this satire, Four Ages of Poetry, in 1820. It was a satirical essay which argued that the growth and progress of society was slowly making this poetry useless. Therefore, Shelley counters him by arguing the moral and the social uses of poetry. And this poetry is not an abstract apology like Philip Sidney gave. It is very personal opinion of him. Now he says that imagination, it is the great instrument of moral good. Like poetry, by awakening and enlarging our mind, it leaves us open and receptive to beauty and love, and also enables us to move out of ourselves, because it gives us the power to see the needs of other people, the feelings of other people. We can feel what others are feeling because of poetry, and therefore he gives us this power of empathy, or what John Keats used to call negative capability. अब शैली कहते हैं दैट अगर डांटे, शेक्सपियर और मिल्टन कभी नहीं होते तो शायद हमारी सोसाइटी आज इतने हायर लेवल पे, इतने हाई इंटेलेक्चुअल लेवल पे नहीं पहुंच पाती. सो देयरफॉर पोइट्री इज़ द ट्रू मॉरल टीचर. नाउ ही सेज दैट पोइट्री हैज़ एक्चुअली मोर यूज इन दिस एज ऑफ प्रोग्रेस. You can refer to Wordsworth here when he said that poetry humanizes us. So similarly, Shelley says that आज के टाइम पे we have bitten off more than we can chew. मतलब we have more philosophical ideas, more scientific facts, then we know what to do with. मतलब हमें नहीं पता इतनी knowledge के साथ करना क्या है. Therefore somebody needs to come who can arrange and conceive those facts in some higher laws, जिससे वो मतलब उसके अंदर कोई reason दिखाई दे. So therefore we need this poetic imagination to synthesize this idea to discrete facts into something human. Now, he says that the poets are the greatest creators and innovators of our society because they are the ones who are the originators of language, because they keep refreshing our language and modifying it, and therefore they make our culture and our history alive, because that is what we call killing the cliches. If you see, in India we need it most. Now we know that a stale language or a dead language, it makes the ideas of its speakers dead, and therefore we will be forced to follow the language of some other or the culture of some other people. Now thanks to these directors like Karan Johar or somebody else who are blindly following these western ideologies and copying them into his stupid movies, we are losing it. We desperately need these kind of poets who can reinvent our society, who can modify our language and refresh our language and kill these cliches. So that was all about Shelley's defense of poetry, friends. I hope you liked this lecture. If you did, please give a thumbs up. If you have any doubts, any questions, or any mistakes that you found out in the lecture, feel free to write them in the comments down below. Please subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, and share it with your friends. Thank you and have a very nice day.